In Peru, the members of rural self-defense organizations in the Andes regions of the Department of La Libertad joined the protest against the government of Dina Boluarte. The ice storm sweeping across the United States has claimed the life of over 50 people, leaving hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses without power. In the United Kingdom, railroad and border force workers continue their respective strikes to demand better wages. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Peru, the members of the rural self-defense organizations made up of ethnic sectors and farmers in the Andes regions of the Department of La Libertad also reject the government of Dina Boluarte and demand political changes. The farmers of the regions raced to join the social protest in the country after the dismissal of the former President Pedro Castillo. The rural workers announced that they will communicate the Department of La Libertad with the Peruvian highlands. The demands continue to be the same as those requested by various social sectors: the resignation of President Dina Boluarte, the closure of Congress, early elections, and a constituent process. So far, the state repression against the popular mobilizations has left about 20 dead. The government of Argentina will file recusal requests against members of the Supreme Court of Justice for issuing a political ruling against this nation's provinces. According to local media, the appeal will be filed in the next hours or days before the recess of the courts in January. The request would come after the president of the nation, Alberto Fernandez, ordered to request the removal of a precautionary resolution issued by the CSJ, since the ruling would conflict the budget approved for 2023. The court's ruling allocates 2.95% of the total joint funds to the city of Buenos Aires, more than 180 billion pesos additional to the city's budget. For his part, the governor of Buenos Aires, Axel Kicillof, denounced that the court ruling benefits a small part of the country to the detriment of the rest of the nation. In Haiti, political parties are calling on the government to add other political forces to the recent agreement between the authorities and various sectors in order to solve the country's current multifaceted crisis. The Political Alliance for a Society with No Exclusions said the agreement signed last December 24th must guarantee a way out of the current crisis and be extended to other social-political sectors which are still on the sidelines. The consensus also foresees that Prime Minister Ariel Henry remains in office until February 2024, a little after 2023, upcoming general elections. They are also pushing for a possible constitutional reform, despite objections from several political movements. On his part, former Senator Moise Jean-Charles said such project is a force which seeks to disorient the international community. In Brazil, at least 13 people lost their lives in the last hours due to heavy rains in the state of Minas Gerais in the southeast of the country. According to a civil defense report, the last confirmed death occurred this Monday when firefighters found the body of an 18-year-old girl who had been missing. Most of the deaths are related to landslides that have buried several houses as a consequence of the excess of rain in the territory. They also detailed that there are now 104 municipalities in an emergency situation due to the rains. In Chile, the government has declared a red alert for the Lucaco commune in the Araucanía region due to a forest fire which has affected approximately 300 hectares. According to the authorities, the fire, which has been named Loncoyan, is a threat to the rural houses scattered in this area. Authorities said that based on technical information from the National Forestry Corporation, the red alert will be maintained until the fire situation warrants it. On the other hand, they say that federal technicians and fighter brigades, together with the local fire departments of Lumaco, Purén, and Pastene Captan, are working to contain the fire. The National Emergency Office from the Ministry of the Interior said they are coordinating any support required by the affected community and that they will inform in a timely manner about any variation in the emergency state. In the United States, a severe ice storm swept across the country on Christmas, killing over 50 people and leaving hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses without power. The extreme weather caused highway accidents and paralyzed the Buffalo International Airport in New York State, leaving a total of 1,416 domestic and international flights canceled on Sunday. The scale of the storm, which tracked from the Great Lakes near Canada to Rio Grande River at the Mexican border, was unprecedented and knocked out power to residents from Maine to Seattle. Many U.S. citizens were stranded in their own cars, as were emergency crews. Philippine Civil Defense reported the rescue of more than 176 people in Misamis Oriental Province and at least 6 dead due to floods in southern areas of the country. According to local authorities, 19 people remain missing, and more than 44,000 people have had to evacuate their homes due to rains and flooding of rivers, especially in southern island of Mindanao. The Meteorological Service in the Philippines warned of torrential rains since Saturday in the regions of Visayas, Mindanao, and Palawan, in the center and south of the country. Also, the Coast Guard reported the rescue of at least 20 families in the city of Osamis. In Japan, heavy snow has killed at least 17 people and injured more than 90 people and left hundreds of homes without power, according to a report by disaster management officials. According to the Fire and Disaster Management Agency, powerful winter fronts have dumped heavy snow in northern regions since last week, stranding hundreds of vehicles on highways and delaying delivery services. Municipal offices in the snow-hit regions urge residents to use caution during snow removal activity and not to work alone, as many of the fatalities occur during snow removal works. Heavy snow knocked down an electric power transmission tower in Japan's northmost main island, leaving over 200,000 homes without power during Christmas celebrations. Let us take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at the account at teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, updates, and much more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back from the South. The United Kingdom Railroad and Border Force workers continue their respective strikes to demand better wages. The strikes that started last week are keeping a large part of the transport in the United Kingdom paralyzed or with long delays. This measure that will continue till Thursday could affect national commerce. The National Maritime Rail and Transport Union clarified that the halt of activities will persist until January. So far, the company Network Rail proposed a 5% wage increase to the workers, which was rejected by the union that demands a 7% wage increase. On Monday, Russian President Vladimir Putin met with 8 leaders of the Commonwealth of Independent States in the city of St. Petersburg for an unofficial meeting called by the Russian leader. The meeting was attended by the presidents of Belarus, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Sardar, Uzbekistan, and the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. During the meeting, President Putin stated that during 2022, CIS security agencies, intelligence services, and other structures maintained close contacts. Similarly, Putin emphasized the importance of the Russian language as a force that unifies the region and said that the common history and culture bind the members to countries. According to the Russian head of state, trade between Russia and CIS members will reach $100 billion by the end of the year, while noting that trade exchange between January and October rose by 6.6%.
Another key direction of cooperation between CIS countries is maintaining security and stability in our Eurasia region. Unfortunately, threats and challenges in this area from the outside, first and foremost, are growing each year. We have to admit, unfortunately, that disagreements are emerging also between members of the Commonwealth. The important thing, however, is that we are ready and we will cooperate. Even if problematic issues arise, we will strive to resolve them together, providing each other with friendly help and mediation assistance.
In Russia, the government indicated that they will redirect this oil to markets with no price cap and that they will continue to do so even if that means higher crude oil costs. Speaking to reporters, Russian Finance Minister Anton Silvanov said that Russian oil companies are redirecting their supply lines from the west to the east and to other countries to start looking for new markets away from the west. He also said this policy is expected to bring about an increased demand for Russian crude oil. Silvanov said that despite the European Union's attempts to limit Russian oil prices, sanctions and market fluctuations, the Russian government will fulfill all its obligations. The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed that 3 servicemen were killed at an airbase in Saratov region while repelling an attack by a Ukrainian drone. In the vicinity of the airfield located some 850 kilometers southeast of the country's capital, Moscow, Russian forces shot down a low-flying Ukrainian drone. The falling wreckage fatally injured the uniformed man. The region's governor Roman Busarguin confirmed that no citizens or property were affected by the attack and that all warning systems in the region are functioning normally, adding that the population is safe from any threat. In Russia, over 4,000 civilians died in the Donetsk People's Republic since the start of the escalations, as reported by the Republic's headquarters at the Joint Center for Control and Coordination of War Crimes Issues in Ukraine. According to local media, in the 132 days of the conflict escalation, a total of 4,400 civilians, including 132 children, were killed and another 3,956 people were injured, including 249 children. In addition, 13,927 attacks were recorded, of which 13,596 involved the use of heavy weapons. Also, local media reports more than 91,000 different caliber munitions were launched, including 32 Toshkayu missiles, 149 HIMARS missiles, 255 Uragan missiles, and 12,281 Grad missiles, as well as 16,444 155mm missiles. China is resorting to various actions to increase the number of elderly people vaccinated against COVID-19 as soon as possible, as the resurgence of the disease is leaving millions infected and many die every day. In some provinces, health personnel goes door to door to immunize those over 60 years of age, and the authorities intensified educational campaigns and the need and benefits of receiving these medicines. Several places are using monetary incentives and offering hundreds of yuan to those who agree to be vaccinated, while others are handing out food baskets and various bonuses. The government is concerned that around 25 million individuals over 60 years of age refuse to get COVID-19 shots because they are the most vulnerable, as the country experiences the worst resurgence of the disease since 2020 in Wuhan. And we have more news coming up after a final break, so don't go away. Welcome back From the South. The Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army on Sunday organized joint combat readiness security patrols and joint live fire strike exercises around the Taiwan island. The drills involve troops of multiple services and arms in waters and airspace around the island, according to Senior Colonel Shi Ji, the command spokesman. She said the military drills are a firm response to the escalating collusion and provocation by the United States and the Taiwan authorities. The troops of the PLA Eastern Theater Command will take all necessary measures to firmly safeguard China's national sovereignty and territorial integrity. This military action takes place days after U.S. President Joe Biden signed into law a bill that includes increased military aid to the island, described by Beijing as provocative. China's foreign ministry on Monday extended its congratulations to Pushpa Kamal Dahal on his election as the Prime Minister of Nepal.
We noted the smooth and successful general elections in Nepal and congratulate Mr. Bachanda, also known as Pusha Kamal Dahal, on his appointment as the new Prime Minister of Nepal. We believe that with the joint efforts of the Nepalese government and the people, as well as the consultation and collaboration of all parties and political forces, Nepal will maintain national stability and economic and social development. As a traditional friendly neighbor, China attaches great importance to China-Nepal relations and is willing to work with the new Nepalese government to expand and deepen friendly exchanges and cooperation between the two countries in various fields. China congratulates Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka on his election as the new Prime Minister of Fiji and believes that under his leadership the government and people of Fiji will make greater achievements in the development and construction of their country. China and Fiji are comprehensive strategic partners featuring mutual respect and common development, and their long-standing relations have been well developed and fruitful, bringing tangible benefits for the peoples of both countries. China is willing to work with the new Fiji government to promote the continuous development of China-Fiji relations for the benefit of both countries and peoples.
Tensions escalated on the Korean peninsula after South Korea accused North Korea of flying several drones on its border, deploying fighter jets and fire warning shots to drive them away. South Korea's authorities say the drone's incursion is the first violation of its airspace in 5 years. South Korean military claims it detected 5 North Korean drones crossing the border, one of which made it as far north as the South Korean capital, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said. South Korea also sent surveillance assets near and across the border to photograph key military installations in North Korea as corresponding measures against North Korean drone flights, the Joint Chiefs of Staff said.
The South Korean military detected unidentified targets believed to be North Korean drones in Gyeonggi province this morning and 2 responsive actions. This is a clear provocation by North Korea violating South Korean airspace. The North Korean drones are small drones of 2-meter claws or smaller, and one of the drones flew to the northern part of the metropolitan area and the other 4 flew around Gangwon area. The South Korean military immediately responded in self-defense.
The humanitarian crisis in Sri Lanka is worsening following acute shortages of daily necessities, including food, fuel, and cooking gas, as the country's economy is in a massive downturn and soaring inflation. The country witnessed violent protests that forced the president to resign, and a new administration took office in August. But despite this, Sri Lanka's economic crisis has forced 70% of its families to skip meals or reduce meal size. According to a report published by the United Nations, 1 in 4 Sri Lankans is facing food insecurity, with children the hardest hit as school dropout rate has increased and underage population entered the workforce. As a relief measure, the government resorts to tourism to alleviate the grim economic outlook. In Sudan, the General Coordination for Refugees and Displaced People in Darfur warns about an increase of violence in the region. Agency representatives said clashes between herders and farmers in the southern province of Darfur have left at least 12 people dead in recent days and over 40 people injured. Local sources claim that the latest fighting started after some herders attempted to loot a bicycle in the village of Amauri, killing 1 person. In response, the national government declared a state of emergency and imposed a night curfew to help stop the violence. In Iran, the Corps of Guardian of the Islamic Revolution in Kerman province, southwest Iran, has reported the capture of 7 leaders of a foreign subversive network operating under United Kingdom directives. Iranian intelligence identified and neutralized the 7 ring leaders operating the network known as Zagros. According to the investigations, the individuals were active inside and outside the country, leading subversive plots, especially inciting unrest. They are also linked to several crimes, among them the orientation, production of contents, and planning of the riots. Once captured, their groups and channels on social platforms were blocked. We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.